Wrestling fans, promoters, wrestlers, and anyone who enjoys pro wrestling now have something new to be excited about. The Wrestling Fans International Association, the WFIA, is back. WFIA is an association that exists to promote, grow, and support professional wrestling throughout the world. Membership is free. Your membership includes a free digital bi-monthly publication of the Wrestling Fan News newsletter, association updates, voting privileges, and much more. Please go to thewfia.org, that's THEWFIA.org, and become a member today.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 4 of Welcome to Slamtown. It's been a few weeks since we last recorded. We had some vacations, and then me personally, I just got over COVID. So we're back, and we're ready to record this episode for you. How are you doing today, Tim?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to hear you're doing well. Sounds like you kicked the shit out of that disease, so happy to have you with me.
I hit COVID, appreciate it, but I hit COVID with the Sam Nice stunner, you know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah.
By that, I mean I drank plenty of fluids, listened to doctors, and laid in bed. That's what I did.
Genius.
One thing that I did do in quarantine, the current season of Fortnite has been out for about a week and a half. I'm done with the Battle Pass.
My man, putting in that grind.
I'm level 103 in this season of Fortnite at the moment.
Hell yeah.
The 100 to 200 stuff just came out today, so I'm like, oh, cool, stuff to do.
Cool. Now you have something to work towards.
Yeah. All my XP was supercharged from the 4 days I didn't play it while I was on vacation, and I just hit it right, and it was like, boom, it's done. Here's everything.
There you go. That's awesome.
Pleasantries. Hey, I try. Pleasantries aside, let's get into some wrestling news that we've got here tonight. As of last week, current WWE Intercontinental Champion Gunther, the Ring General, has broken the all-time record for longest Intercontinental title reign in WWE history, breaking the previous record set by the Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, now we've got two, like super long title reigns between him and Roman.
Yep, and then I think when Sammy and Kevin beat the Usos had broken the New Day's record for longest tag title reign, or something like that.
Yeah.
Later in the show, we're going to be discussing Payback, which I actually just watched like an hour before this.
It's fresh in his mind.
Yeah, the commentary team did mention something about the Usos' title reign being record-setting. Like gotcha. That's something.
Yeah, lots of long title reigns for sure.
Yeah. Sometimes a long title reign is cool if the matches in it are good or can hold your attention. Roman Reigns' reign. Bleh.
That's fun to say.
Right. A little tongue twister action. It gets a little stale, and it has been a little stale because he doesn't defend the title that much. He's barely on SmackDown.
Right. He's kind of like in and out sort of a deal.
Yeah, he's like I think he might be on a part-time schedule, but still, it's like, I don't like Roman as a fan, but I'd like to see the champion on TV, you know?
Yeah, he's like elusive.
Right, he's like, he's as rare as a Stradivarius.
Oh.
I think that's from Anchorman, but probably Anchorman was quoting it from something else.
We'll give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, well, congratulations to Gunther, now the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in history. We're recording this on a Tuesday. Last night was the September 11th episode of Monday Night Raw. I realize now saying like that it wasn't like themed or anything. It's just that's the day the episode was on.
Yeah, you worded that very nicely.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what does that mean? Did they have like a, you know? But last night, I don't know if I got this right or what it means. Last night was the last episode of Monday Night Raw with Vince McMahon either fully in control or having full ownership of the WWE. Because this morning,
wasn't there a merger?
Right, this morning on the New York Stock Exchange, they flew this big old flag outside of the New York Stock Exchange, had WWE on the left, UFC on the right, and in the middle is a new company called TKO, and it's the WWE and the UFC are now under one parent company.
Gotcha.
I haven't read too much on it. I knew a merger was happening. I knew WWE was going to be sold. The deal went through. I read a brief little news article that was saying even though both things they own at the moment are combat sports companies, it sounds like they want to branch out into other forms of entertainment besides the worlds of wrestling and MMA. So should be exciting to see what comes of this. I don't think they're ever going to do something that's like a WWE versus UFC show.
Mm-hmm.
Seems pretty one-sided because I don't know, UFC guys are real legitimate fighters, you know?
Right.
Not that WWE guys couldn't probably fight them. It's just
it's like they're different. They're different venues.
Yeah.
I do have a feeling though that even with ownership changing, I don't think the creative side of things is affected by this at all. I think it's more so just a company money sort of deal. Right.
Triple H I think is still in full. Well, he is. I think fully in charge of creative. Still.
Right.
There's a picture of Vince McMahon at the stock exchange today. He has a shitty little mustache.
Yeah, there was a picture of him that came out a few months ago, and people were memeing him to death.
It's the thinnest mustache I've ever seen.
It's pencil thin.
It's thinner than pencil thin, dude. It's it's just he looks like an evil theme park owner.
Oh my gosh, that's so accurate.
A 90s kids movie, and he shows up, he buys the theme park, and then he's like, I'm going to bulldoze the Zip Zap rocket and build condos.
And then a bunch
of 11 and
12-year-olds have to band together to save the ride.
Right, and they have a slingshot and access to all this stuff, and it's oh my god, they pushed him off the building. Yep, right. Talking animal sidekick, that's in there.
Gotta have that.
And they definitely kill a guy, and then the movie is they did it, they saved the roller coaster.
Right. It's a bunch of henchmen that perish in an explosion, and they're just never
referenced. They blow up the popcorn machine, and then there's a body on the ground, and he's got a popcorn stuck to his head, and you're like, that guy is dead under there.
And then when the outro credits are playing, there's a song by Hanson playing in the background.
Yeah, it's like Mbop, or I don't know if there's really other Hanson songs. Yeah, it's that henchman died that day, and it's Mbop, I think that's legally how much of Mbop we're allowed to sing.
Right. We'll get sued.
And morally.
Yeah. I have that weighing on my conscience.
Yeah. Oh, this guy's a Hanson fan? And a last piece of wrestling news I have here. Last night on Monday Night Raw, the main event, Rhea Ripley defending her WWE Women's Championship against Raquel Rodriguez. I never get the name right. And Nia Jax returned. That is certainly a choice.
Yeah, she wasn't the most popular, or am I confusing her with someone else?
No, you're correct.
Okay.
She wasn't the best in ring. She was kind of sloppy, and she injured a couple people.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Of all the people to bring back to a contract, it's maybe not the best choice, but she.
Who knows? Maybe she got better. Hopefully.
Right. Hopefully. I think she's related to The Rock, so she's got wrestling in her family. Maybe she just wasn't one of the ones that got the talent.
Maybe. Only time will tell, I guess.
Yeah, she, but then attacked Rhea. So it sounds like that's which I believe is fast at work about that because keep up with WWE.
Mhm. I haven't just a little tough time hearing you. It seems like your audio's cutting in and out just a bit.
Thing before we move on to the two shows we want to cover today. The Superstar Spectacle in India.
The Superstar Spectacle in India.
So they put out promotional material for the show, and I remember texting you the poster for it. I was like, we should cover this for the show.
Right,
It's like,
right.
It's in India. It's a foreign crowd. Let's see how they respond to wrestling. It wasn't aired anywhere. It was just a live event.
Oh, it's just a completely dark match in a way.
So I look up how to watch it. They put out posters. They were like, this is happening on this date at this time. I was like, oh, let me see if it's on Peacock or I have to watch it on YouTube or something. I'm looking. I Google it, and it was like, how to watch Superstar Spectacle. And the first Google result was buy a ticket. And I said,
wow.
I'm in Hamden, Connecticut, sick with COVID. I can't get to India.
Your boy is not going to be there.
Yeah, it was just a live event. It was like they advertised Indus Shear versus Owens and Zayn for the unified tag titles. This show happened after Payback.
Oh, don't want to get into spoiler territory, but that's an interesting thing to bill.
So, like, they modified a couple matches. Rhea Ripley fought Natalia at it. And it was like, oh, I thought this was going to be like an event, not like Crown Jewel or Money in the Bank from London, but it was like, oh, I thought this was going to be but whatever. It sounded like it was a good time for everyone that was there. I don't really want to talk about CM Punk, but there was a chant of CM Punk in the crowd during Superstar Spectacle.
Oh, really? Interesting.
I think keep CM Punk out of wrestling for the time being, or maybe forever, because that guy caused a lot of crap in All Elite Wrestling. Some people agree with what he did, others don't. CM Punk got fired from All Elite Wrestling. He's no longer in the company. So that's the news with Sam and Tim.
That's the news.
That's the news.
And you heard it here first.
Yeah.
Unless you heard it somewhere else, in which case you heard it there.
Probably did. So we have 6 matches across 2 pay-per-views, across 2 companies that we were going to discuss tonight. We have 3 matches from WWE's Payback pay-per-view, and we have 3 matches from Impact Wrestling's Victory Road pay-per-view. Payback happened about a week, 2 weeks ago. I was on vacation when it happened. 2nd of September. That is a while ago. Dang.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about Payback first. I was saying to Tim before we got on this recording, I heard very mixed reviews about the show. The 2 best matches I heard discussed were Trish Stratus versus Becky Lynch in a steel cage, and then Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the Judgment Day in a Steel City street fight for the unified tag team titles. I heard those 2 matches were very well received. Everything else on the show, kind of mixed feelings. I talked to one kid at work. He thought Payback was one of the best pay-per-views WWE's put out recently. Another guy I talked to was like, that was the most dog water thing I've ever seen.
Really split decisions there.
Right. Yeah. WWE shows have gotten better since Triple H has taken over creative, but I think SummerSlam and Payback, which were the last 2, I'm pretty sure, they weren't as good as some other shows that WWE has put out in recent. Like Money in the Bank, I thought was really good. Crown Jewel.
Right.
Did they do a Crown Jewel under Triple H? I think so.
Yeah, because I thought Triple H started with WrestleMania, so everything post WrestleMania would have been under
Right.
him.
Okay. Then it wasn't. Was it Night of Champions then, not Crown Jewel? Because that's when Rollins won the title.
Oh, yes.
Right. Okay. It was a Saudi Arabia show. Night of Champions was good. I haven't watched all of Payback yet. I don't think I'm gonna finish it, but I watched the Steel Cage and the Street Fight because I was told those were good matches, and
Right.
then I watched LA Knight versus The Miz with special guest referee John Cena. Just because I like LA Knight and I like The Miz, so I watched that match. I think of the three, we should probably start with the one that happened first, which was the Steel Cage match.
Mm-hmm.
I now realize the three matches I watched on the show were just the first three.
Well, no.
Basically,
Rey Mysterio versus Austin Theory came between LA Knight and The Miz, and then the tag team match.
oh, okay. I fast forwarded over that, but I did see there was just like a huge Cinnamon Toast Crunch graphic up while that match was happening. I did have my dad in the room while it was on, and he didn't recognize Rey Mysterio, and I was like, he does look a little weird. I don't know what it was, but like I didn't immediately go, oh, that's Rey Mysterio.
Oh, just must be some other famous luchador wrestler.
Who's this luchador? Who's this new man? He looked like Batman. Which is usually pretty cool, but I was like, oh, that doesn't look like his mask. I was like, I knew it was him, but I was like, are you sure?
Right.
That's not the Rey Mysterio you have at home when you ask your mom to buy a Rey Mysterio? So, first matchup, Steel Cage, the man Becky Lynch versus the WWE Hall of Famer Trish Stratus.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was a pretty good opener, but
I thought so too.
Like we were saying, it didn't really like the rest of the show kind of fell flat. But like,
yeah,
this was exciting to see first.
Yeah, I mean it is kind of hard to follow something as exciting as this because like it was a long match. It was well fought. There were some really good moments. It was like like Steel Cage, Hell in a Cell, anything that has like a gimmick outside of just a normal like one-on-one. Like those are just always exciting to see. So to have something start with like a lot of excitement and stuff like that, it's kind of hard to follow it. So
yeah,
interesting choice there, but it was good. It was good.
I think putting it on first, I don't think there was another match that could have been the opener and really set the bar, but like this was good to put on first. It was fun. It got the crowd into it, and like nothing else on the card really felt like it was going to carry the momentum except the street fight, and then maybe Rollins versus Nakamura. But like, so I thought my favorite spot in the Steel Cage match, there was like one point where Trish like fully got over the top and was starting to climb down.
Yep.
And then Becky was climbed up, grabbed her, and got her back into the cage. And then she walked down onto the top rope and then suplexed Trish off the side of the cage back into the ring. Oh my God.
That was wild. One thing that I love about Steel Cage matches as opposed to Hell in a Cell, because I always thought when I was younger, I was like, ooh, like Hell in a Cell, it has hell in the name. That must mean it's the coolest. But honestly, as I've gotten older, I think I like Steel Cage matches more because I feel like you can get a lot more creative with having the steel structure right up against the ropes instead of having kind of like that gap.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's more confined.
Right. Plus, you have the added, device where you can win by leaving the steel cage, which makes it even more exciting because then there's more stuff that you can do. You can have wrestlers trying to be on the offensive or defensive to try to like prevent the other from escaping. It just opens up so many more possibilities, and I feel like they used a lot of that in this match with Trish trying to either escape out through the door or climb up and over, and Becky, going on defense and just having a lot of cool spots like that. It just really brought the energy up.
I very well put, Frank.
Thank you.
Like as soon as it started and Trish immediately went for the door, that's like always the heel move in a steel cage match. Because like the buildup is usually like, oh, these guys have fought, or these guys or girls have fought. Like, oh, they wrestled this one show and Trish Stratus won, and then Becky won the next, but there was interference from Zoe Stark. it's always like, we need a cage to keep everything on the outside, just a good fight between these two. And the heel wrestler, in this case Trish, is always like, yeah, the steel cage, like, you're going to be locked in there with me. There's no way out. And then the first thing they do is try to escape because they
Right.
don't want to be in the cage. It's like,
Classic.
it's not like played out. Like, it doesn't, it happens almost every steel cage match, but
Right.
It's like, this is a good bit. I like this.
Right.
Like,
I'm not old
you don't have
yet.
to stop doing it. Do it, everyone. Do it twice.
Right.
Even.
I think one of my favorite spots from it was, again, they were up near the top, and Trish was trying to escape, and she got both of her legs kind of hooked into like the upper part of the steel cage structure, and then Becky, like, I think she was punching her or something, but Trish basically like fell back, and because her legs were locked into the top, she kind of just flopped back, like head down, arms out against like the side, just being held up by her legs in the like cage structure.
The grate or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, like the top part that kind of holds it all together. It was very cool to see.
Man.
And also just like pulling yourself up after that, that's gonna be like a real core workout. So
Right.
yeah, props there.
I thought the finish was pretty good too. Due to some shenanigans, Zoe Stark ended up in the cage with them. But Becky Lynch hit the manhandle slam off the top rope on Trish and pinned her, and then she left the cage. I thought that spot was really cool. Just like a slam from the top rope always hurts, but like it just felt more impactful because like the cage kind of shakes when the mat gets hit, you know?
Right.
But then there's a double cross at the end. Trish is laying there on the ground. Zoe, her apprentice, tries to help her up. Trish is like, "No, I don't need you, bitch." And then Zoe keeps talking to her. Trish slaps Zoe, and then Zoe, the quickest, just hit her like finisher move on Trish.
Mm-hmm.
That was insane. I think it's called the Z360,
yeah.
and then she leaves.
Yeah.
Oh man. Zoe Stark came to the main roster in the most recent WWE draft from NXT. I think of all the people who have been brought up, mainly because she's the one we've seen the most of. We really haven't seen like Odyssey Jones or Indy Hartwell or any of the free agent people who have come up to the main roster at all, really. Don't know what's up with that. But because we've seen so much of Zoe Stark, I think she's the best call-up they've had, only because they put so much trust in her. Like, you come to the main roster and instantly get put in a program with Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch. Like,
yeah, that's like high.
Damn.
Jumping up there right away.
Right. They must have a lot of trust in her. And, like, yeah, she's been all over the women's division since she's come up.
Right. So, yeah.
And
excellent match. I think Becky's
real fun.
Yeah, Becky's always fantastic, I feel. So, always good.
She's up there, and she is competing for the NXT Women's title on the September 12th episode of NXT.
Oh, fascinating.
She will be facing Tiffany Stratton for the belt.
Very nice.
And with that, we will move on to LA Knight versus The Miz.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can wrap this one up pretty quickly.
I think so too.
Going into this show, I was very excited for the match because LA Knight is so over right now.
Right.
And The Miz is always a good heel to put someone against.
Oh, he's fantastic. I can't get enough of him. Like, he's just so fun to hate. I feel like I've said this about like Dom Mysterio too, but he's just so funny on the mic. Like, the shenanigans he gets into, it's just hilarious to watch.
Right.
And I think what makes it even more fun is like behind the scenes, like whenever he's like meeting with fans or anything like that, he is the nicest guy from like all the like videos and stuff I've seen. So it's just really great to see that.
And like the videos of him and his daughters from, I don't know if he still has the reality show, but sometimes they pop up on TikTok and it's just him being a good dad. I'm like, oh my God, The Miz.
Yeah. So it's just nice to see him like just having so much fun playing like this like egotistical character. It's great.
Yeah. So this match featured John Cena as a special guest referee. I guess he showed up to host Payback
He
and
did,
then
yes.
inserted himself as the referee, which ticked off the Miz.
He's your
So,
favorite.
LA,
You love John Cena.
I do. Oh yeah.
Yeah, big fan. Huge
Big
fan.
fan. For those new in the audience, I'm not. I don't like John Cena.
Oh, you don't have to lie, Sam. It's okay. We can be honest here.
Okay, God, he's my favorite wrestler. How do you know? Definitely cool and good and stuff. So LA Knight comes to the ring. Usual fan reaction. Everybody's cheering. Everybody's going, yeah.
Right.
Uh,
It's got a good chant.
so this match, LA Knight wins, and there's a cool moment at the end where they're on the top of the ramp, and John Cena raises LA Knight's hand, points to him. A lot of people took that as John Cena like passing the torch. He's like, LA Knight is going to be the future of this company, kind of thing.
Right.
Even though LA Knight won and got this moment with Cena, this whole match just felt like they were trying to set up Miz versus Cena for like a later show. Even though the big feud was LA Knight and Miz. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you mean. It could also just be Miz being, just getting upset with everyone, but I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of went in that direction. But hopefully if they do, there's something for LA Knight to do in the
Right.
meantime. Yeah.
I really think LA Knight should be the person to take the US title off of Rey Mysterio. But I think a lot of people in the company are not like creative side, like the higher ups, don't want to put a title on LA Knight because of how old he is. He's in his 40s, so they're like, oh, he's not
Really?
like a
I did not
young
know
up
that.
and coming guy. He's been in wrestling for a while. He wrestled in Impact and the NWA before coming to NXT. So he's got this like fan base and people know who he is if you watch things outside of WWE, but it's like they're not willing to give him the get a title on him in this company because of his age. And it's like people would still watch him. People like followed him to this company. He was doing great stuff in Impact. He was doing great stuff in the NWA. Like this guy's money, even if it's not a long title run, at least test the waters.
Right. You got nothing.
You know? I think that about wraps it up for that match. Because other than that, there really wasn't anything to talk about. There was that one cool spot where he jumped out of the timekeeper's area off the barricade and clotheslined the Miz.
Yeah.
I thought that was sick. But like special guest referee matches, I think are sometimes very hard to get into because it just like it doesn't. I bring it up again, but it doesn't serve to move the storyline of the two people in the feud. It kind of serves to set up a new feud or exaggerate a past feud between a wrestler and whoever the referee is.
Mm-hmm.
Because John Cena and The Miz were like, they were big rivals for the longest time. Like The Miz defeated
it was
Cena.
A long rivalry.
Yeah, like The Miz successfully defended the WWE title against Cena a few times. I think he cashed in on Cena when he won Money in the Bank. And it's like, it just feels like they're not putting the effort into LA Knight in this match because all of the Miz's like heel interactions and big moments were with Cena.
Right.
If there's got to be like a Crown Jewel or a Saudi Arabia show or something coming up where they're going to be like, it's Miz versus Cena 5 or whatever.
We'll see. Only time will tell, I guess. Yeah.
So the next match we've got is the undisputed tag title Steel City Street Fight. I really thought this was the main event. So when I was sitting watching it on Peacock, I fast forwarded to the end and I'm like, that's
where did two guys with the other two guys?
Yeah. I'm like sitting, I'm like, there's 10 minutes left. Is this the quickest Street Fighter ever? And then I Googled it and was like, when does the Street Fight start? right after Theory and Mysterio. I'm like, this went on in the middle of the show?
You tell me I got to go back in time?
Right. So I rewound. There was Rhea Ripley defending the women's title after this street fight. I was like, oh, because she had a spot in the street fight, which we'll get to. But it's like, oh wow, she did all this in the street fight and then wrestled her own match.
Kind of wild.
So
I think what might have led you to think that is because for all the advertisements for Payback, like all the promo stuff, was mainly just like stuff from the Judgment Day. So
right, they're all over
I
the
guess
poster.
It would have made sense for it to main event it, but
yeah,
I don't know.
And the way they were building it up made it seem like it was going to go on last. But like, there is a world title match, but it didn't.
Right.
That didn't seem to have the build to be the main event. It's just, I think it was a weird choice to put the world title match last. I think it should have been flipped. World title in the middle of the show. This tag title match you've been building for like weeks should have gone on last. But that's just me. I don't book pay-per-views yet.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this was a Steel City street fight. It's just called that because it took place in Pittsburgh. And right, Pittsburgh is a steel city. Yes, that's why the Steelers play there.
They're known for their steel refineries, steel mills, a lot of steel production there. Yeah.
Hey, fun fact. So Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, undisputed tag team champions, versus Damian Priest and Finn Balor of the Judgment Day. Senior Money in the Bank and Finn Balor. Going into this, I did not think Judgment Day was going to win. Spoilers, they do. They are currently the undisputed tag champions. I really thought this was going to be either Priest getting kicked out of the group or Finn leaving the group and teaming up with JD McDonough. Because there's still that like storyline where is JD going to join? What's going on with that? Like, that sort of thing.
Right. I thought it was going to be like a different outcome. I didn't think, they've kind of been playing it up like you were saying, that there's inner turmoil with Judgment Day.
Yeah. I thought maybe either they were going to turn on each other in the match, or if Judgment Day lost, one of them was going to attack the other kind of thing. And then the other members of the Judgment Day were going to be like, well, I'm on this side, and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But I thought this match was really good. Of the three we're talking about, this one was my favorite.
Oh yeah, this was match of the night for me.
I did watch this one with my dad. There was a moment when all four guys were outside the ring, and Damian Priest swung a trash can down at Sami Zayn, and my dad goes, "Oh damn, that trash can came from far away." Just commenting on how tall Damian Priest is. That dude is big.
Dude, he is a giant.
He is a large man.
Because I don't think Sammy and Kevin are all that short.
No, they're not small guys. But Damian Priest is just freaking huge.
He's just a big boy.
He's gargantuan. I thought there was that one spot, kind of like halfway through, Owens was wearing a t-shirt and jeans, and you could kind of see that he had another shirt on underneath it. And Corey Graves on commentary was like, "Oh, Owens looks like he's getting a little warm in here." And he rips his shirt off, and he's wearing a Terry Funk, like a Rest in Peace Terry Funk shirt underneath.
That was
like,
nice.
Oh, man. And then they put the trash can on Balor. I think this was... We're talking about this match a little out of order. There's just so many cool spots in this thing.
There were. It'd be hard to do it all chronologically without watching it.
Right. Like, a street fight is cool. Like, they're good matches, but you don't have to break down a street fight. You can just be like, oh, this part was cool. And then remember when they did this, which is kind of what we're doing here.
Right.
They put a trash can on top of Finn Balor, and they started wailing on it with the kendo sticks.
That was cool. A little pinata.
Did you catch at the end? Yeah, like a little pinata action. When Finn fell down onto the mat, still in the trash can, and Owens just threw the kendo stick down at him, and it bounced off.
I don't think I caught that. No.
Oh, it was like a blink and you miss it thing. He just like bounced it off the trash can, went up in the air, and then it landed on the mat.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it was really cool. There were the Terry Funk shirt was cool. That spot was cool. it's a Judgment Day match. So, of course, you're going to get interference from
Right.
Dirty Dom and Rhea Ripley. So, they're fighting outside. Like, Balor and Priest escape into the crowd, and, like, it just shows them on the screen. They're, like, talking about how much their backs hurt and whatever.
Yeah.
And Owens and Zayn come up behind them. And then they get blindsided by Dom with the money in the... No, he doesn't have the briefcase yet. He just, like, blindsides them.
Mm-hmm.
And all three of them start pummeling. And they fight over to, like... they don't show the international announce teams really anymore. But, like, it's usually, like, that row of desks where they all sit is what it looked like.
Yeah.
And Zayn and Owens get flipped over the tables, like where the international teams would normally sit. The Judgment Day is like, it just cuts to them and they're like celebrating, they're like cheering.
Yeah.
And then it cuts back to Owens and Zayn and they just stand up from behind the table and they're wearing Pittsburgh Penguin jerseys.
Yeah.
People
that was
people popped for that. That's just
right.
a good
well, the arena that they held Payback in, the Costco
Mm-hmm.
Energy Center, that's where the Penguins play. That's like their
Oh, okay.
home
I'm
stadium.
not the biggest
Yeah.
hockey guy, so. Oh,
Gotcha.
okay.
Yeah.
And then when Owens stood up, he's just busted open.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I was not expecting
I
that.
don't know what hit him or how it happened, but like all of a sudden he's just bleeding.
Right.
And it was just like the coolest visual. It was like going down into his beard and then dripping out of the beard onto the jersey. He's just like standing there mean mugging the Judgment Day. It's like, oh crap, that's a cool visual.
It was hardcore, yeah. Yeah, when they came out with the like dressed up as penguins with all the hockey gear, they also found 2 hockey sticks and they were just using those to like wail on Finn Balor and Damian Priest. That was fun too. There was one point, I don't remember when it was, but I think Finn Balor got a hold of a terrible towel, which is like a rally. It's like a little rally towel that the Pittsburgh Steelers football team uses. Yeah, and they're my brother-in-law is from Pittsburgh, and so I know some of these traditions. But they're pretty sacred items, you could say. So Finn Balor took one out from like a trash can, like threw it on the ground and was stomping on it, just making the crowd get angry. So that was, another funny little banter.
Yeah, another classic heel thing they do. Just make fun of the sports team of whatever town you're in.
Yeah, gets them every time.
The pay-per-view was in Pittsburgh, and if you noticed in Miz versus LA Knight, Miz's ring gear was Cleveland Browns themed.
That's right, yeah.
Yep, that's his team. There was that one moment where Rhea Ripley just came charging in out of nowhere and speared Owens through the barricade.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good.
That was cool.
Owens diving off of the balcony to put Dom through the table.
That was the highlight for me of the match. That was my favorite spot.
That was sick.
Yeah. Because, like, I feel like I've said this before, but Owens doesn't look like a very, high-flying acrobatic dude, but he can hit, like, moonsault, he can hit, like, swantons, like, he can do stuff. It's crazy to see. So when he laid, like, Dom out on the table, like, out in the crowd area, I thought he was just gonna, he was kind of in, there were, like, a staircase next to him and kind of a, outcropping above him. I thought he was just going to climb up the stairs next to him and just jump on it, but he went like a good 10-15 feet higher onto like this little outcropping and climbed up onto the top of the barricades there and jumped off from there. And I was like, holy shit, this guy's insane.
It's insane.
Yeah. It was sick. I loved it.
I think we would have done this match an injustice if we didn't bring up that spot. Like, this match was my favorite match of the 3 I watched. The only thing I did not like was the ending. Like, Finn Balor got hit with a haluva kick. He's getting pinned by Zayn. Dom shows up and, like, breaks up the pin. And then just, like, awkwardly hits Zayn with the briefcase. And Balor rolls over and pins him.
Yeah. It was very, it just sort of fell into place for Judgment Day, it seemed. Yeah.
Like, Zayn and Owens, it was cool to see them win the tag titles at Mania, but this reign, like, it wasn't really anything. all I can think of is they defended the tag titles at Night of Champions against Solo and Roman, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the only time I can think they defended the tag titles
Yeah.
since WrestleMania.
They've defended them a few times on the shows, but I think in terms of like
Big
pay-per-views,
matches.
yeah, I think this
I
was
know
really.
both of them were working injured, so it sounds like they dropped the titles to get some time off to work their
Gotcha.
injuries. But because of this, every single member of the Judgment Day currently holds gold.
Right. Yeah, they came out winners. They're on top of the mountain, and they still got Money in the Bank for Damian Priest.
And Damian Priest did get his custom briefcase recently.
He did.
It's pretty sick.
Cool. It's very cool.
It just looks so good. I might have ordered the replica one on WWE Shop. Because I was looking at it and I was like, I was surprised Priest won the Money in the Bank. First off, I'm glad he won. I was like, purple's my favorite color. I like the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
It's only $100. Like,
yeah, it's nice.
I got it. Like, I was like, I'm going to treat myself. And if I ever get an office job, I have a briefcase. I'm set.
There you go.
Can you imagine rolling into an office with a big purple box that says Senior Money in the Bank?
This is where I keep all of my documents.
This is where I keep all my important things. You know what's in here? A billfold. Wow, billfold. What's in there? My lunch. I got ham and cheese. I play my hot Cheetos loose. Not even in a baggie. Loose.
The briefcase is the baggie.
It's the container in which I store my food.
Exactly.
Moving on.
I think that just about wraps up all the highlights for us, at least.
Yeah. So, next show we wanted to discuss was Impact Wrestling's Victory Road. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, but was this your first experience watching Impact Wrestling?
I believe it was. Yeah. Yeah. From what I can tell.
Before we get into discussing the 3 matches we picked, how did you like the show? How was this for your first?
I liked it. So would you? Is it still considered to be kind of like an indie promotion, like kind of on the same level as like GCW and some of the other stuff we watched?
So, I don't think they call themselves an independent. They're a professional company because at one point before AEW existed, Impact was the biggest competitor to WWE, and they made some decisions that made a lot of people like, this is kind of lame, and they fell off for a few years. Now that they're back, I think they're one of the most slept on wrestling companies currently. Like, it was a good show, but not a lot of people watch them.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, the production was great, like the commentary, the matches, the billing. I thought it was all like really fantastic.
And it's a thing they'll do. Like, Victory Road was, they didn't call it a pay-per-view. It's like a special event. They'll sometimes do them on their premium YouTube channel where it's like just a show and it's all pay-per-view quality matches, but you don't have to pay to watch it. So Victory Road was a pay-per-view for them at one point, and now they brought it back as this kind of like free special event thing. I think you wrote it down because I did not. But the matches we're going to cover for this: Bully Ray versus PCO in an Anything Goes match.
Correct.
The Rascals versus the Motor City Machine Guns for the Impact Wrestling Tag Team titles.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve Maclin versus Josh Alexander in the main event.
Correct.
And then we didn't take notes on it, but there was a Digital Media Championship match between Kenny King and Tommy Dreamer, title versus career. This match was
Tommy Dreamer.
The Tommy Dreamer from ECW.
Yeah.
This match, it was all right. Tommy does end up winning. Didn't need to retire. He did get help from Heath, which, if you remember Heath Slater from WWE,
yes,
that was him.
Oh, okay.
He's a lot different from his WWE days, but he gets help from Heath because Heath didn't want Tommy to retire. Tommy won the Digital Media Championship. But there's someone in the front row in this match, the whole pay-per-view, Tim, our mysterious benefactor, RDS.
Oh, a mysterious benefactor was front row. Good for him.
He is the gentleman that hands Tommy Dreamer the water bottle to spray water in the face of Kenny King.
Oh, sick.
That was Rick.
That's
I was
cool.
watching it with my parents, and my mom's not a wrestling fan, but her and my dad both looked up and were like, "That's Rick! Rick's right there! That's Rick's water!" And they're
That is so
popping.
cool.
Yeah, he had a great time. He thought it was a good show. He had front row seats. It was up in White Plains, New York. We live in Connecticut, so it was just a few hours drive.
Yeah.
So, Bully Ray versus PCO, anything goes match. I thought this was great.
I thought so too.
I love something that's big and dumb and violent.
Yeah.
And this fit the bill.
That was definitely this. One thing I really liked was kind of watching the the whole show. They would kind of intercut little snippets of the two of them interacting backstage, like leading up to this match. I really liked that. I thought that it helped kind of add to like the story of it in a way. Especially this is my first time watching this. I didn't know any previous backstory or anything. It kind of helped me like ease into the story that they were going to tell with it, which was nice.
So the big pay-per-view event recently for Impact is called Slammiversary. It's a big anniversary show. And one of the matches at it was supposed to be Scott D'Amore, who's the president of Impact Wrestling, teaming up with PCO to fight Bully Ray and Steve Maclin. Steve Maclin ends up injured. PCO ends up injured. So the match ends up being Bully Ray and Diener versus Scott D'Amore and a returning Eric Young. It was a surprise return, but also the reunion of Team Canada, who was like a day one Impact group.
Oh.
So the reason, like, PCO was injured, but storyline, they wrote him out. Bully Ray set him on fire in a parking garage.
Yeah, they showed snippets of that. That was crazy.
Yeah, so Maclin and Bully Ray set him on fire. So this match was kind of like Bully Ray versus PCO, the last stand, because they couldn't fight at Slammiversary sort of thing.
Gotcha.
It was, I don't know if you caught the pre-show or if they showed it in the main feed, but like there's an interaction in the parking lot where Bully Ray ran over PCO with a minivan.
Yeah.
And then
oh my gosh,
he tried to set PCO on fire backstage again, and PCO blew the lighter fluid back in his face.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how they get away with that, because like it's maybe because that one he didn't end up on fire. It was like water or something. But usually it's real lighter fluid, because like they do the flaming table spots and stuff. And then they're like, the match is about to start. Bully Ray's music is playing. He's not coming out to the ring. It cuts to backstage, and he's just beating the tar out of PCO.
Yeah.
And he tries to escape, and he gets stopped by the director of authority, who's Santino Marella. For those of you watching at home, the Cobra from WWE.
Oh.
Do you remember Santino?
Vaguely. The name sounds familiar.
The Italian guy that'd be like, "Oh, look at you, my rival, John Cena. It's me, Santino Marella. I'm coming for you, Triple H."
Dude, it's like a 1-to-1 spot on. It just
I worked real hard on that impression. I was the biggest Santino fan, bro. But he bars like Bully Ray from exiting, and he's like, "You got to wrestle the match. The people that pay the money to watch the match." And this isn't racist when I do it. I'm 50% Italian, so it's only 50% racist. Yeah, it like they fight each other out to ringside. Bell hasn't even rung yet. They're hitting each other with chairs. There's like cheese graters. There's ladders. There's tables.
The whole shebang.
Did you have a? Excuse me.
All good.
I did notice there was a moment when I think PCO hit Bully Ray on a table, and the table did not break, so he just bounced off it.
Yeah, it was right at the end. He tried to put him through, and he didn't go through. And I think one of the table legs like bent or snapped. Kind of funny.
Yeah, so
they weren't able to set the table up because it was imbalanced. And he was
Yep.
just getting so frustrated with it. It was so funny to watch. He just ended up like putting it up against the side of the ring in the corner.
And then throwing Bully Ray through it, and then he pinned him to win. I did like the one moment. I think Bully Ray got a cheese grater to the nutsack.
And he just yells out, "My balls!
My balls!" Oh my god,
That was funny.
that was a good one.
One thing I loved, no idea like where this came from, but like Bully Ray had just like either put PCO like through a ladder, through a table, and he was like looking around for weapons. And he pulls out a Rubik's cube. He kind of fiddles with it for a second, then chucks it off to the side.
Like, what is that?
It's just so wacky. I loved it.
Right, and then when Bully Ray was trying to escape, and Santino and security met him on the ramp, and then Santino hit him with the Cobra, like he had the Cobra and everything. Oh man,
right.
I popped hard for that. I like that Santino's back, and I like that he's like the on-screen authority figure sort of thing. I think this might have been my match of the show if it wasn't for the tag title match.
Right.
So
yeah, I liked this one. It was definitely a good recommendation because you were telling me you were like, oh, definitely check out these ones. So it was wild. You know, I've never seen PCO before, but I think he does a great job of portraying just like this insane Frankensteinian character. So it was fun.
PCO is in like a career renaissance. It started like a few years back, like tail end of the 2010s, beginning of the 2020s. Mm-hmm. He used to wrestle in WWE. Like used to feud with Bret the Hitman Hart when he was like first in the WWE. And I don't know why or how, but PCO got like blackballed from professional wrestling for a while. Like there was a reason, might have been drug use, like steroids or something, but I'm not sure. I don't want to spread rumors. But there was a while where he couldn't appeal, like wrestling companies weren't willing to work with him. And then Ring of Honor took a chance and brought PCO back. And he, PCO, those are his initials. His name's Pierre Carl Ouellette. He's from Canada. But in terms of his Frankenstein character, it stands for Perfect Creation 1, because he had this manager that was with him that was supposed to be like this Dr. Frankenstein type that created PCO.
Gotcha.
So there was like a little. Like yeah, he's cool, and I think he's like 55, and he's still hitting like moonsaults and taking dives and chair shots and everything.
Landing on like tables on his back. I can't do that at my age, and I'm not even like out of my mid-20s.
Yeah, we're not even in our 30s yet, and we've got lower back pain.
He's almost 60. It's like, oh my gosh, what a crazy guy.
There was when Steve Macklin was world champion at the Under Siege show, he fought PCO in the main event, and it was like a no DQ match that very quickly turned into what felt like a death match. Steve Macklin is like a military themed character. I want to say he was a Marine. I could be wrong. I don't want to get his branch of the military wrong, but he does have a military background, and he uses that as his character. It was him versus PCO. He, like, in the match at Under Siege, one of them produces a staple gun, and Macklin takes the staple gun and uses it to staple PCO's mouth shut.
Oh my gosh.
And PCO gets a pair of pliers and pries his own mouth open and continues wrestling.
That's insane.
It was insane.
No words for that.
I think Macklin ends up winning. He like sets up a bed of cinder blocks in the middle of the ring, slams PCO onto them, puts another cinder block on top of him, and then breaks that cinder block with a sledgehammer.
Jesus.
And then pins him to win. These dudes are just spilling buckets, dude. It was insane. And this was just on like a special pay-per-view thing they were doing, like a free-to-watch show. And it's like, these could have been like Bound for Glory, which is, I'm not sure if Slammiversary or Bound for Glory is the WrestleMania equivalent, but like those are their two big shows.
Right.
It's like that could have been the main event for one of those, and you just put it on on like a Friday night special that you were doing.
For free, my man? For free?
For free? Well, like, you have to pay the subscription on the YouTube, but like, if you want to watch Bound for Glory, you have to pay the $30. But to watch Victory Road, you just turn on YouTube on a Friday, and there it is. And it's like, you did this for free? I would have paid.
That's wild.
So second match from Victory Road we have on the docket, the Rascals versus the Motor City Machine Guns for the Impact Tag Team Championships. Alex Shelley from the Motor City Machine Guns is the current Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion.
Oh.
That's who Steve Macklin lost the title to at Against All Odds.
Gotcha.
Motor City Machine Guns are a day one team. They've been in Impact pretty much since the beginning.
Nice. We love that.
The Rascals were there for a while. Not like back in 2004, maybe like mid 2010s on. Not even that. Maybe just like 2017 to now. They did split up. Two of them went to the WWE. Zach Wentz got released because of some things from his past. He came back to Impact Wrestling, reunited with Trey Miguel, and they became tag team champions at Emergence, where they defeated the Subculture, which is like, they're like a you know, like the fashion style, like mod style, like the Beatles.
Yeah,
it's like that. They're like mod guys. That's who the Rascals beat. And they have the coolest names. It's Mark Andrew and Flash Morgan Webster.
Dude, they also, I gotta say, I love like the color. I don't know if they're always rocking the neon green and black, but for this match, like that's what the Rascals were rocking. And that's like such a
that's
dope,
your usual color scheme.
Okay, that is such a cool like color combo. Like in my opinion, I loved it.
They're big old stoners. That's why they go with the black and green, because it's like kind of an homage to DX, I think. But then also they're like, oh, neon green, weed color.
Let's go.
And that's why the beginning of their entrance music sounds like a dude like hitting a bong. It's like the bubbling
together now
when you use the lighter. Yeah. Motor City Machine Guns, even though they're up there in years, they can still fly. They can still move. And the Rascals are like a very high flying, like cruiserweight kind of tag team.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I know a lot of people in wrestling think that the heavyweight division should be made up of the big bulky guys. Technically, Alex Shelley, weight-wise, is a heavyweight. Because when the title went on him, a lot of people were like, oh, this string bean, this dude, it's like, he's, by definition, technically a heavyweight. And he's been like a day one with the company. This is his first run with the heavyweight title. Chris Sabin has held the heavyweight title a couple times. But I thought the Machine Guns wanted to bring the tag titles back because they thought the Rascals were like disrespecting it with their antics. Because they're heels, they cheat a little bit. They hit people with spray paint, that kind of thing.
Stuff. Yeah.
But they're like,
I gotta say,
they're like
spray
fun
paint,
heels.
Yeah, like spray paint, like as a weapon. Like I know sometimes people use like they'll put ink in their mouth and just kind of like spit it out and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that they utilize like the spray paint as a weapon, I thought it was really cool. Like, especially I think the ending of the match, like one of them kind of hit the other guy into the ropes and he kind of bounced off of it to like come back in. And as he was bouncing, the other member of the Rascals like really quickly like tagged him with spray paint so that he was
across the eyes.
Yeah,
it's kind of like their equivalent of the poison mist, like you're saying.
Yeah, so I thought it was fun.
And for the Rascals to get a pinfall victory over the current World Heavyweight Champion,
that's a big deal.
Like, damn. Like, I was saying that to my dad, and I don't know if he wasn't like catching on to what I was saying. I'm like, these guys are young. It's kind of like the Machine Guns are putting their faith in this team to carry on like Impact's legacy, that sort of thing.
Right, because especially like you were saying, Motor City Machine Guns are a day one, so like they probably, have some good like knowledge about like where things might be heading. So yeah.
And then the Good Hands did interfere at one point too. to help out
Mhm.
the Rascals because the episode of Impact. So Impact airs on Thursday nights. So when they do the special Friday things, it's Impact on Friday, and then you immediately go to this special event show the next night. The Good Hands were talking to the Rascals backstage and was like, "Hey, we want a tag title match," and the Rascals were kind of like, "Oh, well, we're fighting the Machine Guns tomorrow night. Maybe you keep an eye on that match. Something good might come of it." So the Good Hands kind of like interfered to ensure they fight the Rascals for the titles, sort of thing.
Ah, sneaky, sneaky.
And then on the side of the Rascals, it's like, help us out without asking to be helped out, that kind of thing.
Right.
But this match was fast paced. It was fun. A lot of cool moves. I love Zach Wentz and Trey Miguel as a tag team. The third member of the Rascals is Wes Lee on NXT.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, they were a trio, and then Zach and Wes went to WWE. Trey stayed in Impact and became like a single star. Zach got released because of some shit that went on in his past with like these photos of him like dressed as Hitler and stuff. He got released,
Gotcha.
apologized, and then he came back to Impact, and now he's a tag champ. But I think Trey Miguel, when a trio or like a faction breaks up and one guy stays, they kind of flounder. But he was pretty good X Division champion. He was getting matches. He was good. He was good solo, and he's good in a tag team too.
Hell yeah.
And then very quickly, because we're gonna wrap the show up in a few, the main event of this pay-per-view was Josh Alexander versus Steve Macklin. Main eventing a pay-per-view with just a regular one-on-one match for no title.
Yeah, there's no title.
Is a choice. And I think this match, it was very deserving of its main event placing.
Yeah, I was fully engaged with this one. It was a lot of fun. Very impressive.
Josh Alexander was like a record-setting X Division champion. Mm-hmm. If you hold the X Division title for a certain amount of time without loot, like you've won all your defenses, there's no one else you can fight in the division, you can vacate it and cash it in for a world heavyweight title match. It's called Option C. Josh Alexander like ran through the X Division while he was champion, cashed in, won the world heavyweight title. He beat Christian Cage, who's currently in AEW, because for a brief time, AEW and Impact was doing like crossover stuff. So he got it off of Christian Cage, and then I think he lost it and then won it back. And it was his second title reign. He like tore his pectoral muscles and had to vacate the title.
Oh, that's nasty.
The big rival who was supposed to take like feuding with him at the time was Steve Macklin. Steve Macklin never got his title match against Josh Alexander. So Steve Macklin and Kushida, who fought Lio Rush in the opener, the two of them started feuding for the vacant world championship. Steve Macklin beat Kushida, won the vacant belt, held it until Against All Odds, where he dropped it to Alex Shelley, who's the current world champion. Josh Alexander returns from injury, still wants to fight Steve Macklin. Macklin never got his chance to fight Alexander, so the two of them fight at Victory Road one-on-one. There's no title involved, which is a shame because the two of them for the world title would have been fire. But even though this match was just one-on-one, like all the storyline, all the injuries, everything leading to it, this match was perfect. Like it was just two guys who wanted to have a match against each other, got the match against each other.
We'd love to see that. That's a storybook ending. Right.
There was that one moment where Josh Alexander, it felt like hit 5 or 6 suplexes without ever letting go of Steve Macklin.
It was 10 German suplexes in a row. I took a note of that because I was counting them. I was like, Jesus, this is impressive.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And Josh Alexander is another one. He was a tag team star in Impact Wrestling. He was in this team called the North with All Ego Ethan Page. Ethan Page left Impact. His character got killed off during the pandemic. He he would do this character called Karate Man, and it was like just a funny comedy gimmick he would do.
Right.
So they had Ethan Page versus the Karate Man. There's just him fighting himself in like little clips he filmed.
Yeah.
And the Karate Man does like a Mortal Kombat fatality on Ethan Page. So Ethan Page left Impact. He's now in AEW. And they were like, well, Josh Alexander, like, he's still here. He's a tag team guy. Put the X Division title on him to see how he would do as a singles competitor, and just ran with it. And then that's why they put the world title on him.
Nice.
I think both these guys, Alexander and Macklin, are very talented, and Impact is going to give them the stage they need to maybe make Impact where it once was as a WWE competitor, or it sets the stage for them to go on to another company that's, I hate to see Impact lose their guys, but where they get more recognition, like more eyes would be on it, because these two dudes are talent.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you want people with talent to be able to, showcase it and get what they deserve for all their hard work. Yeah.
And like I said at the beginning, Impact, it's one of the most slept-on companies. They've got a lot of talent, and they put on a lot of good shows.
Mm-hmm.
I know Bound for Glory is coming up. That's their next, you got to pay to watch it.
Right.
That show should be good. I think I'm going to a viewing party for that.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
And I think Will Ospreay is going to be appearing at Bound for Glory. Mm-hmm. That'll be insane.
Insanity.
We love Will Ospreay. And with that, did you have a favorite match from Victory Road?
Ooh, probably the PCO one. Just because I feel like I was saying, I liked how they kind of showed a lot of quick little snippets beforehand. It gave a lot of context to it. It made me, be able to appreciate the storytelling a bit more. It wasn't like crazy long drawn out either. It wasn't a squash by any means, but it was exactly what it needed to be. I think.
Yeah,
it was
perfect amount of time.
Amount.
Exactly what it needed to do.
Lots of tables
I think
busted.
my match,
yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, I think my match of the show was the tag title match. I think that was fun. It was fast paced. There's two tag teams I really like, so I couldn't really ask for that much more.
Oh yeah, they definitely delivered.
Yeah, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of another tour through Slamtown. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for letting us be your guides.
Yeah, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
You betcha. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Available on all streaming platforms. It's professional wrestling's greatest, largest, privately owned wrestling library. All the classic hits, flips, slams, and pins of yesteryear are on one place. It's Ultimate Classic Wrestling. Check out the Nature Boy Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Mr. USA Tony Atlas, Tito Santana, Rick Martel, a who's who of professional wrestling's greatest spotlight stars ever to grace the squared circle, all in one place. Grab the best seat in the house for memories and mayhem on Ultimate Classic Wrestling.
Hi, this is Bob Smith. You might remember me from my years at Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine. Well, now I've started a brand new podcast called The Outdated Wrestling Hour. Yes, we're going to take a whimsical look back at the wrestling figures, stars, and trends from years gone by. We're talking 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and a whole lot more. There's going to be laughs. There's going to be fun. There's going to be action. You name it. Please tune in for The Outdated Wrestling Hour wherever you